Singer-songwriter Brooke Fraser is once again on top of the charts in her home country of New Zealand, as her latest album, Flags, is her third consecutive album to land at number 1. Flags also peaked at number 3 in Australia, number 80 in Canada, and number 59 in the US, but it took just 1 week to be certified gold in New Zealand. Brooke, who self-produced Flags, took a year off from the road after touring for 3 straight years in support of her last album from 2006's Albertine. Although Brooke has experienced tremendous success with her previous albums, she decided to take a different approach to her songwriting on Flags, and she didn't know how her fans would receive the new style. Artisan News caught up with Brooke Fraser recently to get her thoughts on the expectation of Flags and why she was deliberately taking a step in a new direction.
It's funny because in some ways I know that there's expectation, but this album has been a bit of a relief really, because I think if there was any album that was going to fail, it would be this one. Just because, I don't know, I suppose I knew that I was deliberately taking a step in a different direction with my writing, and producing it myself was a big risk, and I didn't necessarily know, even when we'd finished, I didn't know if I'd done a decent job or if I'd completely screwed up my life and was just on the verge of a precipice of doom. But it turned out that everything's going pretty good.
Brooke also talked about continuing to write personal songs, although with a more narrative storytelling angle with a twist.
With both my previous albums, the songs have been very personal and very, this is how I think and this is how I feel. With this album, I still wanted to obviously tell stories and still write songs that were very personal to me, but I wanted to kind of come at them from a different angle, so using stories and using characters, which is something I'd never done before, so kind of using more narrative and storytelling and kind of observations. So in that way, the songs are quite different for me, but there's still, I suppose, I still have my same approach to melody and arrangement and sound. So it's still a Brooke Fraser album, but it's just with a little bit of a twist.
She also talks about what a relief it has been to see her fans receive the album so well.
It was, no, not that it should fail, but just that I suppose, it had been a long time, and so I knew I needed to come back with something that was different and something that was a definite step forward as a writer and as an artist. And I felt that I'd done that, but I didn't necessarily know if people would like the step forward that I'd taken. So it's been a great relief, particularly in my kind of home countries of New Zealand and Australia, that this album has been received incredibly well.
Flags, which contains Fraser's first number 1 single, Something in the Water, landed at number 1 on the New Zealand chart, which was the same week that Flags topped the albums chart. This was the first time that a New Zealand artist had a number 1 album and single simultaneously since 2004. Brooke is currently on a tour in support of Flags, with dates running through North America, extending until December 12th in San Diego, California. As of press time, Brooke has sold out shows in many markets, including LA, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Seattle, just to name a few. After a run of tour dates through Australia in January of 2011, Brooke will take part in a winery tour in February and March in New Zealand.